Right. Good afternoon, ladies, gentlemen. Good afternoon, good evening, good night, good day, wherever you're tuning in from. We welcome you once again to Rokstedi Time on Rokstedi TV. And it's your host, DJ Jossy Ladd, here. And at last, we've got our legend. Our legend is here. And it's a great pleasure for me to introduce to you this wonderful gentleman. Before I introduce him to you, and you all know him anyway, doesn't need any introduction, I have to say a little bit about him. When we've been discussing lately, a lot of discussion has been making the rounds about who were the pioneers of Afrobeat, and a certain guy came from Canada. He's a DJ as well, but he came with his Canada crew to me and some other prominent Nigerian DJs in the UK to get the UK version of it.
Yeah.
And I went on here saying, look, Afrobeat, the likes of Mike Okri, Oyeka Owenu, late Christiana, uh, uh,
It's
uh,
anyway.
Etienne Igbokwe,
Mhm.
um, Mike Okri, Dizike Falola, Mandy Brown Ojugbana. These were the original pioneers of Afrobeat. These were the first people who started singing in Pidgin and Yoruba dialect and Igbo dialect and other dialects.
Mm.
These were the real and the true pioneers of Afrobeat. And today I've got one person in the house today, and it's none other than the unbelievable, indefatigable legend, Mike Okri. How are you, sir?
Thank you for having me, DJ Jossy Ladd. It's a pleasure being here.
Thank you very much. Thank you for making, despite the time difference and everything that's
Yeah,
gone on before today, thank you for
yeah.
making it. We really appreciate that.
It's my pleasure.
Now,
The pleasure is
without
mine.
much ado, we go straight
Mhm.
into we have a lot of questions to ask you, so we hope you're ready.
Well,
Yeah,
we'll do the
take,
best we can.
take us back to the young boy before the fame and fortune. What was happening in your life when you first realized that music was not just a hobby, but your destiny?
Oh well, like every young lad, I happen to be one of those who was fortunate to have a mother who is a seasoned traditional singer. She may not have been popular at the time. However, I remember with some little idea of story being told as well as those that I experienced as a little kid, she will have me on her back and we'll go to the arena and sing with her troupe. And my mom will come up with this sonorous, sweet voice that is so captivating that everybody will turn around and say, "Ah, what kind of maiden, what kind of queen of singing ability is this?"
Wow.
So when I grew up and I was 6 years old when I started singing in little church choir in kindergarten up until when primary school when I was wise enough to know, and if I sing, people will think, oh, it's a young lady, only to find out that it's a guy singing like a lady. So I kind of like resonate from a point where I already knew that I was going to be a singer someday. However way it was going to come around, I wouldn't say I knew, but I just had it in mind deep inside. There's a side of me that said convincingly that I was going to be a singer.
Great, fantastic.
Mm.
Right, kudos to Mama. So we know where you got this beautiful voice from. That's
We thank
fantastic.
God. Yes.
You started out as a backup singer for some of Nigeria's biggest artists, including the
Yeah.
Sonny Okosuns, Sonny
Yeah.
Ade,
Yes.
Oyeka Onwenu.
Yes.
What did you learn from those legends that you still carry with you today?
Ah, well, good enough. You know, when you have the knowledge, what may be lacking is the wisdom. So when you are in the midst of those that are before you, the tendency is to be humble so that you can learn what they have. And I think what have attracted them or attracted me to them was nothing short of the fact that this is a young talent, and his nose is tough. He's such an intelligent kid. However, let's know whether he's humble enough. And those were the things that kind of shaped me to be a better person. And I believe that, well, there's how you try to say, okay, you're humble, but you're not. And of course, no matter how you pretend, to find out as soon as possible. But I discovered the real me that I was willing to learn. I wasn't afraid of being chastised when I go wrong. I was ready to accept the fact that, yes, I'm not I'm not flawless. So those were some of the things. And of course, don't forget that these different people that you've mentioned have their different characteristics as human beings. But I was
Absolutely.
able to fit into each one at a time. Let me start with King Sunny Ade, soft spoken, but very principled, because he was such a person that he wouldn't say much, but when he says, yes, I like what you're doing, it will be to the fact that he does mean it. Um, and if he's upset, then he will stand to say, I am upset and I don't think I like what's going on in a milder way,
Mm.
based on the fact that he's principled. Sonny Okosu, a few times that I dealt with him, was a little diplomatic. He's on the part a diplomatic kind of human being. I wouldn't say till he left this mother earth. I wouldn't say I really saw um, 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 Sonny Okosu ever angry. The only thing he does is if you hit him below the belt, he will just cry like a baby because he has this soft emotions about him. And so I learned that aspect from him too. And then when it comes to Onyeko Win, whom I spent 3 going to 4 years with before I went solo. She was not just only principled, she was very blunt. She
Iron
that
Lady,
iron lady, let's call her
elegant stallion.
elegant star. Thank you. Very blunt. If she doesn't like you, she tells you, I don't like, I don't even want to see your face. But if she likes you, oh my God, she'll spoil you, but not without tough love. So I experienced a bit of this and that from each and every one of them. And I know that if I meet anyone, there are those that I've worked with shortly, I can't even mention their names, that I knew that they were only seeking to have my talent and not to part what they have to me.
With
So those,
you.
yeah, so those
Unbelievable.
people were short lived. I didn't have to waste my time with them. So, but all the same, it was worth doing, having to learn from those before me and even my contemporaries as well.
Oh, thank you ever so much. And you know
Mm.
what? Out of those three you mentioned, I honestly wanted to. Well, I mean, I had the plan of this internet TV station
Okay.
a while ago. I've been working on it, and whilst she was alive, and that's Auntie Yenka. I don't call people who senior me by name.
Okay.
Yes, I'm a typical Yoruba boy.
I
So
know.
and she was my sister-in-law's neighbor. And I was
Oh.
saying, when I eventually start this, she'll be
So
one of the first people I will bring on the show. But unfortunately, God had other
well,
plans
God,
for her.
exactly. Yeah.
So, but definitely, without much ado, I must make sure that I interview King Sunny Ade. I
No,
am I'm a massive fan
we
of
thank
him.
God for life. The man is still
Yes,
kicking, so it's still
yeah,
there.
yeah, absolutely. What
Even
is
though he's
one thing
moved to
you
Ondo
saw
State.
backstage? Oh, sorry. Finish what you were saying.
No,
Sorry.
I said even though I was just adding to what you said. I said even though he has moved to Ondo State, he's
Yeah.
still very much around.
Oh
Yes.
yes,
Mm.
yes, yes. I actually I know where to find him in Ondo State. I know where exactly. What is one thing you saw backstage during those early years that completely changed the way you understood the
Mm,
music business?
mm. Well, you see, the dynamism was the ability to change with time. You see, because the saddest thing is when you are too static and like so robotic that you can't change, then of course time will elude you. In the case of entertainment music, you are not isolated from the fact that if you're part of the core group, then you should know that there are others that are equally talented as you. So you can't be automatically the most talented. You only can be one of the most talented in your era. But as
Mm.
time goes on, there's a possibility that others who have made a case study of you will try to get better, especially our children. You get what I mean? So it was necessary that if we are fortunate to still be alive and we're part of it, we should understand that when it comes to the next era, and we are still very experienced, thank God for that, we should hold on to our experience. But our experience is not to tell us that we know it all, because the new era will come with a different challenge. So, but if you are the one with an open mind, there are possibilities that you can work together with the new era. And before you know it, that is when they really call you the real Baba, because I mean, you know your time and you're coming with it and you're humble to understand that things could change and be challenging. But because you're open minded, the young ones will be willing to work with you. And that's what I can say is of my case.
Thank you very much. And yeah, I mean, it's good that you emphasize the fact that you must be able to move with time,
Yeah.
because according to the legend himself, time not money.
Abby.
So please, I want to appeal to our viewers once again to please continue to help by liking our videos, subscribing, following our comments, and following us on all our social media. Thank you very much for what you've been doing. We are
Thank you.
increasing our capacity with your help, and we'll continue to do that. Thank you
That's
very much.
true. That's
Before
true.
Time and Money became a classic, Mike,
Yeah. Mm.
what did Mike Okri see in that song that made you believe it would become a hit? Or
Well,
did you believe it would become a hit?
I would say this because that one tree doesn't make a forest. The possibilities were there that I worked with very wonderful, and I want to. I also want to make it clear. I wasn't the originator of Time Now Money. I want to make that clear on air.
Wow.
Yes. The original song was just a mere jingle, and it was written by Ray Mike. It was my namesake too, but although he's passed now, Ray Mike Wachuku in Port Harcourt. That his version was the type that was a song they just used to,
On
government.
radio, I remember. Was it
Yes,
on radio?
yes, one radio,
Yeah.
FM Port Harcourt. And it
Yeah.
was
Hot
more
FM.
of a jingle, government propaganda, blah blah blah. So I, being a custodian and a young, somebody that could see, it's like having to say you could deep down, you could 6 feet below, you can see, know the potential of this being a gold mine. So I picked on that song, and of course, my most reverenced gentleman and someone I hold to high esteem, who also happened to be my producer, Uncle Laulu Akins.
Ah,
Um,
Papa.
yes, we were able to put all that together. He was like, you know what, we do this song, that'll be nice. And I came up with this version. And the fact that we came up with this version attracted the likes of Lemmy Jackson, and a host of other great. This guy who played, what's his name now? Late too. He was part of the BLO group too. And that was how everybody just jumped on it at Decca. And we did justice to the song. So it's not something I want to take credit for. Yes, lyric wise, I just added a bit of this, and in terms of melody, yes. But the originator is Ray Mike Wachuku.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah, I remember that jingle very, very well. It was played on the radio, FM port,
Yep,
yes.
yep, yep.
And listen, you turn it into what we the clubbers then, and
Yeah.
now I'm still a clubber. Baba still did
We all
there.
do. You never
Baba still
retire.
did there. What we now call national anthem tracks, into tracks like Stevie Wonder,
Hmm.
Lionel Richie, All Night Long.
Hmm.
They
Hmm.
became national anthem.
True.
Wherever the DJ drops it, everybody stands up.
Exactly.
And I can tell you officially, specifically, we still play music today, and I can
Mm.
tell you that once Time Now Money drops,
It's the
the
folklore.
response is on the
It's
same
always
level as those two
exactly.
songs. So it's officially a national anthem, not
Wow.
of the country, but
Yeah.
national anthem of the dance floor.
Oh, yeah, with the dance floor. Yeah.
When you first recorded Time Na Money, did you know you were creating a monster of a song that people will still be singing decades later?
Well, to a certain extent, when you know a hit, you just can't say. Well, to the monumental level that it became, is we could say we sensed it. That was why we didn't need to have to do a video. I mean, Time Na Money never had a video because we knew that it was a saleable song. The message is there. You don't have to remind anybody about it. So that era, you didn't really have to require doing a video anyway. So, and when we released Omoge in Lagos because of what we thought of Omoge as a hit as well, um, Time Na Money was started from Port Harcourt into the Midwest, which was Edo Delta,
Yeah,
and then sprung back to Lagos and overtook Omoge, you know.
yeah,
So, but then on a general note, yes, you overtook Omoge, but Omoge was still there for the ladies. You
yeah.
understand what I'm saying? So each song attracted different moods and settings and behavior and all that. So it was a thing of joy that we didn't want just be. It didn't just become a situation where it was one that I turned out to be one song artist. It happened that yes, I had various hits that could just from the download to the upper side and so forth. So it was a good thing. And of course, it was time and money that almost took me to becoming a Cuban citizen because the Cuban military decided to do time and money as when you were talking about the national anthem. They did it on the salsa beats and it was fantastic. But when the invitation came in that era, and I was doing events, I think the three of us that were doing events for the every 4th of July for the United States Embassy was myself, Femi Kuti, and maybe Dede Mabiaku or so, three of
Okay.
us. So whenever I'm not around, Femi and Dede would do. But I was always on each year, every year if I'm in the country. Then it happened that at that period, I don't know how they got hint of the fact that Cuba. So somehow the government said I couldn't go. That was how I didn't go to Cuba. And but because as at that time they were pressing for me to come, and they would do the national performance, Fidel Castro, blah blah blah. I didn't know nothing. I was just a naive young man who didn't want to jump into politics. I wasn't interested in politics. I was interested in the mullah.
Yes, so
And so, but when
show me
I
the
now
mullah.
yes, but when I weighed the when I was explained to, and I weighed between the United States and the Cuba whatever, and the government was like, "Say no, you can't go." I had no choice because my manager was in between during the negotiation, and no, we turned it down. But places like Liberia,
Yeah.
time and money is national. Look, if whether I'm there or not, the only time I could have been there, just few months to the planning of that was which was 1991. The civil war struck in Liberia, where that the even the promoter that wanted to um, invite me lost his life in the process. But
Oh, yeah.
the most important thing was that a lot of African countries just saw that song as, look, a reminder of us knowing that we can't play with our time. We need to understand that basic fact. And it's resonated with a whole lot of people, irrespective of age.
Thank you. Look, I can guarantee you, and I can specifically say again, the time that money has cut across borders. I mean, you've had a lot of non-black people singing it
Yeah.
fluently, knowing all the verses more than some of us Nigerians. And I am gonna give you. I'm gonna throw a little challenge.
Yeah.
I think and I'm not in a position to advise you. Who am I? I'm only a small boy, but but I think you should make a video. If you can do a wonderful remix of Time and Money, that would be great. That would be that would be
We,
absolutely fantastic. But if you want to leave it the way it is, you can do it. But just do a video of it because the power of video these days. But you will be giving that track an
yeah,
unbelievable resurgence.
yes. I honestly would say this is like the spirit is one. Um, Honestly speaking, we have a couple of things that we decided to do, reshuffling our plans for the year, God willing.
Amen.
That okay. My we're working on a docu series. I'm also working on a book, all combined. So we said, okay, why don't we float that first? That's how the challenge came about. Since some of us could not get, weren't fortunate to be like these young folks who are privilege of having the internet, and anything they throw at it can always come back, you know. But during our
AI.
time, yes, but during our time, we didn't have the privilege. So some of the things we had in hard copies were lost. Even the record companies could not retain them or keep them properly. So they were bad copies. But we know for certain that the only appeal we now have is to those who still could keep records of some of us live performances. You never know, it could be in their shed or in their little whatever. If they could bring it out for whatever reasons, we could have them. So these things are beginning to come in. We'll shuffle through and see the best qualities we can have, enhance them with technology, so that when we are doing our docu series, we'll know what we'll adopt, or we'll know what we can also, instead of using them, reenact them with AI to copy to make sure it's the same high quality that will fit into that thing. So it becomes a standard cinematic docu series. We're looking forward to that. Yes.
Yeah, that would be
So.
fantastic.
So it
That
is
would be
after
really.
that that we will now be releasing the new Mike Okri beats, including the Time Namoni new version that you just said.
That would be fantastic. And when you do that, please be kind enough. I know you will invite us. Uh, Let us know so we can invite you to come and speak to our viewers about it.
Yes.
It's a good thing you
Hopefully.
mentioned Omoge in the
Yes. Yes.
in your last question, in your last
Mm.
answer to my question,
Yeah.
because that's the question that's coming next. What
Okay.
is the real story behind Omoge? Was there a particular woman, experience, or incident that inspired the song? Did someone break your heart, or did you fall in love?
Well, that's what people would say. But what would you think if a writer has to relive all his storylines? Well, then you know what I mean. But
The
the
book will
craft
be
of
like that.
exactly. But the craft of it is, I mean, you witness, you experience all combined. So it was as a young man growing up in Lagos and other parts of the cities like Ibadan, and and my our love life with when we know for certain of how we write letters, not like now where things. Then it was more of, you have to be very talented to know how to write letters, and to your girlfriends or somebody you admire, or that you have a
Very,
crush
very
on.
good handwriting as well.
Yes, so thank you. Caustic kind of writing that will give you, But we did all that. And then we studied the fact that behavior, that much as women, as at that time, were not really after money, they were more after how your level of education, how smart you are upstairs, and how well dressed. Those were some of the qualities. And then Omoge now became the opposite, because I had to also go to the ghetto to study some of the behaviors of these women, including our Mashawuna, all together. Rokpokpo. So we now realize that the money for hand back na ground became a slogan of what? Knowing fully well that the typical Aboge is all about money and flashy cars. So I was able to picture that in that small case scenario of a song.
Hmm.
And if you remember, because of that challenge, Somebody said, okay, you said about Omoge. What else are you going to sing that will picture the good girls? Then it was some years later I came up with Okpeke. Okpeke now became the opposite of Omoge.
Oh, brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. Interesting, interesting. Can I also seize the opportunity to thank our viewers once again? Those of you that are viewing, please leave your comments, leave your questions or comments in the comment section, and we'll be able to read them out for Mike Okri. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, follow, and comment and share in our comment section. Now, the next question I'm going to ask you: Your music introduced what your music introduced what became known as the Afro mystic soul,
Yeah.
blending Nigerian sounds with the soul influences. Where did the sound come from, and who influenced you musically? I think you've answered some of that question, but can you
Yeah.
expatiate a little bit on that?
Well, in terms of what becomes of a good potpourri, should be how best you can sit down with your elders, um, grandma, to see how a pot of soup is prepared. Because that's the only way you can begin to fabricate in your head when you start cooking your own. And you
Absolutely.
see how grandma puts the fish, the vegetable and everything. Make sure it's properly
The
cooked,
Iru.
the roux and all the rest. Thank you. So to suffice, actually, I've listened to Best of Fela Kuti. Much as I could say categorically on my own, in my own opinion, that though Fela didn't start Afrobeat, the likes of Mono Mono, Johnny Hastrop, and
Shegun Bucknor.
Shegun Bucknor, and the rest of them. But it's not about who started Afrobeat. It's who took it to the next level and refused to let it go. And also became a huge tree with so many branches. You can't take Fela away from that because
Yeah.
every other person did a bit of this and a bit of that. And I could say particularly, or the only person that obviously would have challenged Fela to a certain degree did not stay long in the shores of Nigeria before he too, which is Orlando Julius Ekemode. You
Yeah.
know, he quickly left the shore. So Fela was in control. But what added another top-notch, grandiose element that made Fela extremely supersonic in his approach was the political aspect of Afrobeat. Because for you to be a songwriter, you have to go with the trend of what is happening around you. It's not just sitting on one side and writing a song, and it's only for a particular, genre or particular group of persons or era. But he did it, and as he keeps developing, he keeps going with a different flow. So he was consistent and was never breaking to the end of his time. So people like us who knew where, so our strength was the fact that we were versatile. I could sing high life, I could sing reggae, I could sing anything that is singable. So but my strength, much as it was in reggae, I felt that no, Afrobeat was something, especially when you have to sing in vernacular. Because as at that time, it was like, okay, you either sing a real R&B and you sound like so much like R&B, or you're singing a reggae and you're sounding like Peter Tosh. But there was nothing else out of that. And we needed to really, so I could say, yes, I was one of the pioneers of mixing, not pidgin by itself. If you go by pidgin by itself, Fela remains number one. But when it comes to mixing pidgin, Yoruba, every other, my native language, Robo, and all that, we were part of that. And then we developed that to a point, and it became acceptable. Even though at that time too, one of the greatest problem and challenges we had was the fact that we're still having less and less of Nigerian music being played on air,
Yeah.
which we
Absolutely.
yes, which we
Absolutely.
fought and fought and fought until somehow today the younger ones are the people enjoying it.
Absolutely.
But having said that, the honest truth is this: I learned also from the African top notch, which of course I just mentioned Fela, I mentioned Sonny Ade, I mentioned Okosun, I mentioned Onyekonwenu, I mentioned a whole lot. Theodore Ifudu and many more, Chris Okotie and all of that. And then when I now come and look at the international market, I've always been a good fan of the Cool and the Gang. I've become a good fan of Brass Construction, of Randy Mola fame. Before the coming of Dynasty, there were other top groups like Earth, Wind and Fire,
Yeah.
and many more. So I didn't I was just like the best. So I always want to get. If you see my catalogs back at home, huge. I will not even have money, but I will go to Kingsway and buy a record.
Yes.
Or the
Yes.
other
Tell
when
me
Kingsway,
about it.
yes, when Kingsway was no more, UTC became the. I will always save money to buy a record. So
Oh, yeah.
those are some of the motivation. And then my father too have his own collection. So
Which we nicked. We steal that. That's the where we start. We always steal our
of
daddy's
course,
records.
yes.
When
They're
daddy's not at
in the
home, we
village.
sit down in front
I
of the
hope,
gramophone.
yeah,
And then I remember very well.
yes, so
So
yes,
going back
so
to what you said, I mean,
mm,
what you just said was very detailed and very deep. Yes, Fela started in the era of high life.
mhm.
It was contemporaries with the likes of
Yes, so the high life, which is
Orlando
Kula
Julius.
Lobito, Fela the Kula Lobito,
Yeah, the
yeah,
Color of Jazz. It
competing
was
with
playing high life jazz.
yes,
But in my opinion, and this is
mm,
just me, I'm not saying this with authority, Fela
mm,
was the originator of Afrobeat, in my opinion.
mm, mm,
You guys were the pioneers,
mm,
the
mm,
first set of people that started singing.
mm.
Obviously, you didn't copy Fela. Nobody can copy Fela. Fela's
No.
is unique.
Yes.
And is the one artist in Africa that people have tried to copy, and there has not been one artist that's come up
To be able
and
to copy
conquered the
him.
world like Fela did.
Yes.
Nobody, it's very difficult
No,
to copy his music.
I think when you talk about copying Fela in actual sense, the only reason no one could copy Fela is not his singing, because he wasn't really a singer. He was more of uh, I'll call him a chanter of a deeper form. And a chanter of a deeper form, he knows the notes, he knows the characteristics of how to make his voice sound great. But he was more of sending a message, which is different from a singer.
Yes,
Now, um, you could give small credence to his first song, Femi. But what Femi could not capture, and I will tell him because he's my very close friend, and the likes of Dede Mabiaku, is the songwriting ability. Because Fela is, that is his, look, you can't, there's nobody. So that is where you can never be Fela, or you can never even be able to copy Fela. The songwriting ability is second to none. And that's why his catalogs will continue to appreciate till thy kingdom come.
thank you. And you know what? You're very, very correct there. And I can just buttress what you said
Mm.
about Fela. He's also an incredible organizer. He's
Thank
probably
you.
the first Nigerian artist that I'm going to say that's going to have a 33-man band, and
Mm.
he coordinates every single one of them.
Yes,
They
yes.
don't use synthesizers. So
No, no,
everything is
no.
live. And I'm telling you, if Fela is performing on stage, if any of the instrumentalists miss their notes, and Fela look
They
you
are in
like that,
trouble.
if he
They're in
look you
trouble.
like that, he don't
Yes,
cut your money.
yeah,
So
exactly. Very highly
he's such an
disciplined.
organizer. It's unbelievable.
Yes,
Yeah. What
yes.
was the biggest difference between making music in Nigeria in your days, that is in the 80s and 90s, and making music today? That's a
Well,
big
the
one.
difference is so clear. It's like night and day. Reason is every potential music, every potential, let me say, person, whether they are inspired by anything at all, just by saying a word can produce music. You will see that they're doing that with pseudo, they're doing that with AI.
Yeah.
So, but You see, what can be taken away is the originality of what it now becomes. And I'm glad that even the music industry are beginning to set very serious laws that differentiate the AI technique away from those who will come natural. Because you can't just come and dump everything into that. Somebody in their bedroom could just say, okay, um, Suno, I want you to produce XYZ kind of music, or write a few jargons, and Suno will help, or AI will help you fix it. You know, but much as even some of us, I will admit, the aspect of that technology is great for people who can even think much better, because it will lift their work to a period of even perfection. But it's not for them to totally rely on it and say, okay, fine, I want to leave that to Suno. No, it makes them to be better organizers. Like I tell you about some of the things I'm doing. I have songs that I have developed from Suno because I pay to do that. But I will only take the instrumentals and go and reproduce it with my producer, with my co-producer. By so doing, we take what we want and we put out what we don't want, and my natural voice will still be there. So that makes it hair. So that's the difference. So to go back to your question, in our days there was so much about originality, and we're very few, honestly. Now the door is open to the whole world, and the streaming ability is also good. But if not well doctored, it could become a level playing field for both idiots and brains. I put it that way, both
Mhm.
idiots
Yeah,
and brains. But
say it as it is.
exactly. But if we're well guided, then we can now begin to know between what is fake and what is real. So that's the sensitization that we have to bring to the to the forefront before our audiences, so they will know what they're dealing with. And I'm glad some people are listening.
Wow, fantastic. Thank you very much.
Mm.
Now, you became the first Nigerian artist signed to CBS Records
Yeah,
Nigeria. I think it later became
Sony Music.
Sony Music.
Yep.
So, for those of us, our viewers that don't know, Sony Music has been existing since those days, and you are
Yes.
watching
Yes.
the first Nigerian to be signed by
Yes.
CBS that
Yeah.
later became Sony Music.
Sony
Now,
Music.
what did the signing what did signing that deal mean to you at the time, and what
Well,
did you later discover about the business side of the deal?
and the deal was first, like a young child who's handed a very well designed candy. His first mood of excitement that, oh, I'm now being thrown to the world, and I will grab it with all gratitude.
Yeah.
And well, with the seasoned persons that were with me then, older brothers, I'll call them, someone I just mentioned, Laolu Akins, and of course, Dindisi Okoro, who was also a seasoned entertainment business guru, and a host of other people that came about and say, "Oh wow, this young man." And of course, I could also use this opportunity because I know the kind of impact he also had in my life. Someone like Ken Kalib Olumese of Night Shift.
The
Uh-huh. So,
governor.
these are a set of people. I can't mention many names. They just saw me as a young kid, and like I said, one of the things that I didn't pretend about, although some felt, which of course they came to confess to me later, that let's test and see. I remember when they was, oh, Nero, this guy, he's just pretending. He's not humble. Once he gets what he wants, he will just be. And so I would say, okay, just let's test him. And he went on and on and on and on. And they discovered to be, it doesn't mean I don't get upset. I do. When I'm upset, I come straight to you as Agba. Baba, I'm angry because of what you did. And the fact that I do that respectfully make them to understand that no, this money can't change this guy. Fame can't change this guy. He's just who he is. Some saw that as weakness, but many saw that as strength. So I lean more to those who saw it as strength than those who saw it as weakness. So in a way, I would say that it was very, very a welcoming thing for me. The business, in some way, um, as we went along, we realized each other's flaws. The fact that I came into it without even studying, because do I have money to hire a lawyer at that time? No. So I didn't know where the I's were properly dotted and where the T's were crossed, because I was just too eager to have a contract.
Yeah.
But as time went on, I started discovering the loopholes. My so-called record company owners also own up to it that they were not perfect, and that's why today we still have some relationship, because otherwise we would have been in court, otherwise we would have been fighting. But instead of fighting, when we shout in the boardroom a little while, everybody goes home a little, relax and call back and say, okay, young man, the way you behaved the other time wasn't good though. I said, Edmond, and your ways too wasn't really good, but okay, we are sorry, and then we make up. But in the real sense of it, we are still trying to use some wisdom in handling how these catalogs will end up. Right now, we have an arrangement where the Sony Music no longer exists, but they are now Master Sound. And Master Sound is still being run by the Okunowas, which means that, okay, they are keeping me in the know of how they are running things. So whatever comes to me still comes to me. So we don't have any reason to be in court. But as time goes on, it's of my interest too to want to buy my catalogs from them. So that's still under
Okay.
under discussion. Yeah.
Other discussion. Okay. Oh, negotiation, negotiation, negotiation. Once again, I want to appeal to our subscribers, to our viewers, to please continue to subscribe, continue to like,
Yeah. Yeah.
continue to
Thank you.
follow us and share our posts. We appreciate you. Was there ever a moment during your peak when you thought, I've finally made it? And if there was, what happened on that day? The day you thought, okay, oh, I don't make hallelujah.
Well, fame comes in many ways. It's like the coat of many colors. And during my time of being in the real, I mean, people compare to the point where it was so much that there are a lot of naivety as well as a lot of people with wisdom. So I remember vividly some people, even when I go to Europe tours, they'll compare me to Fela. They'll compare me to, all the big stars as if, even to Sonny Ade as if we are mates. But I'll tell them, no, those are my big, you know, I will have to be the one humble enough to let them know the difference. That it's not because I'm reigning now, does make me to be bigger. Because you have to understand that that is what is missing. And you can't blame the younger artists, because sometimes I even take blame in the way we were able. It's like having to say, okay, you're running a race and you're supposed to hand over the baton to the next person on the other side to be able to pick up, but you didn't do that properly. So whatever happens with the other person, if eventually he got the
It goes
baton,
back to
will
you.
not be his fault, his or her fault. He has to be the one who passed it. So that's the problem, because the foundational problem has been more like it ended with us. So what happens? We didn't pass the baton properly. That's what affected the music industry, or it still affected it. But should we say, okay, we should just throw the baby and the bathwater away? No. It means that there's still some possibilities of being able to make changes. Thank God some of us that are still very much alive could make those changes. And that's where we begin to say, okay, if we get back to this game, we're not just going to come back competing with these younger folks, even though, because there's room for everybody. What we just need to do is be good structural instructors who will make sure that whatever we do with those we are mentoring, they will begin to see light that, oh, they are being properly mentored. Because if there's no proper mentorship, that's where you find out that even the younger ones will think that, oh, they made it by themselves, they don't need the old ones. And the mono system we operate in Nigeria is not what we operate here in America. Everything is well structured, that if Earth, Wind, and Fire, though we've lost Maurice White, is
Yeah.
going on a tour today, is sold out. If Cool and the Gang is going on a tour today, it's sold out because the the elders who are starving for their kind of music are still there. The demography doesn't affect, but the Nigerian system is such that okay, this is the only person we know now, the person reigning now. That's why the marketers, the advertisers need to understand that they need to know how to build their own. It doesn't matter if an artist is 80 years old, if he still could be on stage. There are so many people admiring to hope that they can come and support. But if they don't see that support, they won't come out. So that's the problem we face in Nigeria.
Thank you very much. All right, you left Nigeria when your career was at a very high point.
Yep.
Looking back today, do you consider leaving Nigeria one of the best decisions you made, or one of the decisions you would rather change?
I would say it's a mixed grill feeling. I'll put it that way because
Okay.
um, at the point when we were leaving, we had no iota of the situation that it was going to be this terrible. Okay. Um, we just left like every other young, whatever, with family. We just want to go outside and explore. And part of it, though, I will admit, was the fact that we had works on vinyl that were being pirated. We were not making money from it. And okay, let's go out and regather ourselves and come back because it's not like we had anything anywhere else to explore if we remain in Nigeria because we were more too big. It's like a big fish in a small pond, and we needed to expand. So that was the reason why some of us left. We needed to run away from um, being in one spot and okay, we've covered everywhere, and we more people outside, and we hear stories about how our works are being filtering into other countries. So, but then the challenges were that if you don't go out, you won't get the real deal. Okay, so some of us who left at a time when gradually, because MTV Base, which was the most powerful house
Yeah,
of the European was gradually is like visiting every continent. And Africa was the only continent left. Because when Channel O was doing their thing, they never wanted any domination. South Africans have never wanted any domination. So they were suppressing other people, including
absolutely.
Nigeria. So, but when MTV Base came, MTV Base was able to break that ice by saying, you know what? Nobody is going to dominate except they have what it takes. And that was where Nigeria came up. The likes of my young man, who is also a legend too now, Tubaba, and the
Two-Face
rest of
Media.
his team, because these are younger ones to me, they too became, well, in our absence. So by the time I also was preparing, because my initial plan was just to stay for 2 years. But when I went, you know now, baby food, this and that, and then coming to the fact that paper expire, and everybody was like, just still don't come.
Yes,
so
yes.
so it became a case where fine, 1 year, 2 years before I knew it, that was it. But again, it became a blessing in disguise. Now that we live in both worlds, but thank God we're alive to witness it, it's a thing to be able to say, okay, what can we do differently now? With AI, with modern technology, with internet and so forth, we can operate from anywhere. So we are in works on how to develop to the level where we will not be the sole owners of our works. We want to coexist with as many as other young talents and build a more profound music industry.
Thank you very much. Now, you once described yourself as someone who disappeared to reappear for the better.
Mhm.
What did Mike Okri discover about himself during those years away from the Nigerian music scene?
Well, it kind of brought me to realize how big the name is, and I rather want to separate me as a person from the name. And to add that up, my level of creativity, I became, rather than being naive, I became very wise. And the aspect of wisdom comes with development to be able to achieve that. Um, a smart, they say a smart town crier only cries at the very bit of announcing his presence with his product.
Hmm.
The the other kind of town crier who just makes the common noise will carry his agogo at every time. Go, 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 and knock. This is going to happen, no, and people will be waiting. It's okay. Let's see what is going to happen. If it comes the first market day, they'll say, okay, maybe he's preparing himself to bring his product. And if he doesn't come with anything, say, this man has come again, knocking agogo. What is he selling now? The next time he will come, he'll do the same thing. The third time, when he's actually ready to bring his product, there'll be nobody to buy. So
Hmm.
that's the difference between. But the man who is silent,
Wisdom,
yes,
wisdom.
that's the man who is silent. It knows that if he cries out too often, at a point when he's ready, people might not be in the marketplace. So that's the difference.
Okay. Have you worked with younger artists and participated? Sorry, you have worked with younger artists and you've
Yes,
participated in remixes who have
yeah,
participated in remixes of your classics.
yeah, yeah.
What do today's young artists understand about music that your generation didn't? And what don't they understand that your generation did and you wish they did?
Oh well, in some ways and one, I think it's a mixed grill for both two categories of groups. My group of my generation and the new group of this generation. And what I could see that is lacking in this group of generation is the fact that everybody is like wanting to run a race without having to consider how to finish that race. That's one. Yeah, they're smart. They don't go in depth into studying things before they go into it. And they just want to do music. So none of them had the proper apprenticeship of having to take command and take control. So it's all about the money. It's all about the fame. It's all about, but lacking the courage, lacking the character, lacking the ability to also be mentor unto others. Because you don't have to be making too many mistakes before you become a mentor. Yes, you make mistakes, but in private. But when your mistakes are too obvious, especially this day and age of internet, so before somebody else will recommend you, say, "Abeg, that man, let him go, Jerry. How many mistakes to teach make? How can that person mentor me?" So that becomes a challenge, and that means you can never rise up to become a real mentor. But mistakes are part of life to develop you to become stronger. So during my time, we had a lot of mentorship. We had a lot of apprenticeship. We were ready to go to. Okay, some of us came from the church choir. Some of us joined band members, so I became musicians. So the musicianship is the toughness of being a local boy who served his master. So eventually, when he comes back, he's coming back to be a better leader. It's the same thing with education in every line of it. So but children of nowadays, permit me to say, all they need is a computer from their bedroom. They just go on the internet, learn okay. So even if you are trying to advise them, the terrain is tough. You need to take. No, 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 no. I don't need anybody. After all, nobody made. So they will start giving examples of those that nobody made, forgetting that there's always a big pitfall in front that will swallow them up. So that is that. However, in my generation, some of the things that we wish that we had today, that if we had had then, would have been greater. The terrain would have been super. And part of such things need to do with structure. In America, for instance, the internet too started one day, but they didn't start with the internet in terms of building their structures. When they have their Music Hall of Fame, they started from the institutions part of it. So there was a grand opening of accepting the mistakes, errors to become quality standard. But in the Nigerian sense of it, we can make mistakes now perfectly, which are supposed to be top lessons for us to grow up with. Before we know it, we've forgotten about it. In another decade, we're starting fresh mistakes as if we never learned from the past. So that is where we find ourselves. And we hope that with the internet presently, knowing fully well that we now live in a small world, because globally, with a click of a button, you can be felt any part of the world, changes everything. So that's the difference.
Thank you. Thank you ever so much. Now, Nigerian music has become a global phenomenon right now.
Yeah,
Do you ever look at what Burna Boy, Whiskey, people like Davido and others are doing internationally and think, oh, we were already laying this foundation before you guys came?
True. Oh my God. Hold on.
Did
Can
you
you see
get
me? Okay.
No worries.
Yeah, you asked a question. Sorry, what did you say?
Yeah. Nigerian music has become a global phenomenon right now.
Yeah.
Did you ever look back and see what the likes of Burna Boy, Whiskey, Davido, and others are doing internationally and think, oh, we've been there before. We laid the foundation.
Yeah. Well, like every it's a different strokes for different folks. In our era of being there before, we cannot be compared to this era. After all, every day that you polish your shoes, it gets older, right? And
Yes,
you need new ones to replace it. So
absolutely.
in life, I for once would always believe that the best way that a man can live a better life is to coexist rather than live in isolation to believe that, oh, we've been there before. Because these youngsters are combining our days, though they never saw our days, but from lesson learned, from stories told, they've carried it forward. And they had better organizations, managers, international, lawyers. There's more money to be able to foot those bills. So the transformation is you can't compare it. Nowhere to be compared with. Because that when we talk about the likes of Fela is one of those who were just fortunate because of his kind of music to have even become a bigger monumental success even after death. Now, some, as soon as they are done, even retired, they fizzle away. So this era is an era to hold together greatness. Though the only thing that could bring an artist down is scandal, too monumental to handle, and other things like that. But if
Yeah.
you put
Pressing
that
the self-destruct button.
yes, but certain behaviors. But other than that, if an artist is able to be human enough to say, okay, yes, I'm not perfect, but I'll do my best, and then he's still able to say, okay, he's not selfish. That the same amount of money he's spending on himself is spending it on others. What I mean by that is that, let's say, for instance, Burna Boy's position is not easy. Whiskey and the rest of them. The money they use in maintaining their portfolio, let me borrow that term,
Yeah.
every month. Forget that Davido's parents have money. Since he came into the music, his headache has doubled because entertainment is not chicken business. But if you are fortunate, of course, I'll be forced to say some things here, which of course we, knowing our kind of background, will say, if you want to be sustained, you remain there. You have to go a little diabolic. I know some of us go diabolic, but not everybody has the mind of being diabolic. Some have the mind of just being who they are, and they pray to their God, and their prayers are answered.
Thank you.
You understand? So, the point. Let's leave those clandestine ways of thinking because you can't take that away from Africa. However, we're talking about ability to get organized. So this generation, they have all it takes to really get there. It's like now you telling me as I come, even though I'm old school, somebody comes and give me $10 million, for instance, and say, Mike Okri, organize yourself. I know what to do. I know
Absolutely.
how to fix. I know how to rebrand my Okri again. You understand what I'm
Okay.
saying? So it's the ability to say I'm not going to shy away from because the way we do business in Nigeria back in the day is just me, myself, and I, or my family, and that's it. And everyone else is enslaved. But here, your manager could be even richer than you, but he will make the kind of sacrifice to sustain that name as if it's his own. That's what's lacking.
Hmm. Thank you. Now, Mike, you've achieved something very few Nigerian artists can claim. Your music has survived generations, but every great journey comes with a present day battle.
Yeah.
What is the biggest challenge Mike Okri is facing today, personally or professionally? There are people who see the legend don't necessarily see.
Um, I think one of the things that I figure out, even my wife quarrels with me on that one. He said I'm too humble. Yeah, I can't say no. I said, why should I say no when I'm alive to say yes and do the thing? Look, life is simple. There are some things now that I cannot say I regret in regards to how I am so open to the people I want to be open to. But I've developed one craft, the craft of knowing treasury from from real people, knowing liars, fakers away from the real deal. So, but that comes with age. It's like fresh wine in comparison with old wine. The old wine will always taste better. And that is the transformation that I've gone through in life. To realize that I have no regrets. Because as long as I'm breathing and you and I are having this conversation, you need to see where I'm having conversations with my younger folks. I remember a case scenario for an example. I went to a studio in Lagos. I came to Lagos and somebody said, oh, there's a studio. Then I've not done my own home studio. And I went and they showed me, and a young artist was doing his production. And I saw how cocky he was, like, I was behind the cubicle on the other side, and the guy producing was my young brother. And when he was producing, the others, I don't want anybody in this studio. I'm not. I can't think. I can't remember. And I saw them struggling with the production. So I asked he got to a point, the young artist was so frustrated. And I asked my producer, who's my brother, I said, can you talk to the young man? Yes, I have an idea. Let me just chip that idea in and see whether it's something he would be willing to. And then finally, my young brother was able to brave up to say, you know what? I'm tired too. This is how you're going to give me problem. I have our big boss here. Let him just contribute. Now they say, who is he? He said, Mike Okri. I could see that the young man doesn't even know who I was. But as soon as I came in, I leave. I said, okay, play on this part. I said, okay, young man, sing like this, sing like that, like that. I want to. When I saw it, I said, where are your singers? They're coming. I said, okay, give me the mic. I put my vocals and did the backup. The young man was like freaked. Eh? So this is, he was so freaked and excited at the same time. And then that was how we became the young man. Oh, daddy. Oh, I didn't know you could do this. Oh, my God. Can you follow me? Can we work on our next? I said, well, I will be traveling soon. So those things have happened occasionally where I walk into somewhere, people think, who is there? I've gone into shows with younger artists and I end up carrying the day. Not because I have anything, it's because of how well prepared as an artist I have always been. That's why I said old wine will still be much preferred compared to fresh wine.
Thank you very much. Now we're going to do very, very. Time is have been spent, so we
Yeah.
want to quickly round up now. We
Yeah.
have quick fire questions. Which do you prefer, Omoge or Time Na Money? I'm putting you on the spot now. Oh.
Well, for moral of the lessons, always omoge. But for everyday preaching, time na money.
Very diplomatic. What artist from today's generation that you would love to record a song with?
Of today,
Yeah.
my favorite, not because I just like the young man. First is Davido. I like he may not be the best of the core singers, but I like his attitude. That somebody who believes that I can do it no matter how much they think I cannot. That's one. But the other person that I think I like is I wouldn't say about attitude, but I just like him for his kind of vocality is something Daniels. I keep
It's
forgetting
Daniel.
Kiss
It's
Daniel.
Daniel.
That's it.
Thank you. The greatest Nigerian musician of your generation is who?
Of my generation,
Yeah.
I could pick myself
That's good. Right.
because during myself I was an enigma. I mean, I felt it, but I didn't just let it get into my head. But I could go into places like that guy, So, but I could pick people like Onyeka Onwenu because Onyeka Onwenu was, even though he was ahead of me, mwah. Then I could pick Reverend Chris Okotie because
Okay.
Chris Okotie, his voice was too unique, except
Yeah.
that he didn't do many commercial songs, but
Yeah.
his vocaling was mwah. Then another good friend of mine, not because we were friends, but because, yes, a hustler is Felix Liberty.
Ufoma.
Yes, so
Ufoma.
before Ifoma came, it was Ngozi.
Ngozi, I remember.
Yeah, yes.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to round up now. And we want to seize this opportunity to tell you to continue to like, continue to share our work, to continue to subscribe to our channel, and continue to support us as you're doing. And continue to follow us as well. But we've just spoken, given you 1 hour plus of the legend himself, legendary Mike Okri. And not only, there's a few things you didn't know about him that I think I do. And I'll put him on the spot again. Is not only just the man of many songs. He's also the man of many languages. I think he speaks a few languages. So I'll let him say goodbye to you guys and give us a big us up on Rokstedi TV. I'll say goodbye to you guys in about as many languages as he can speak. I'm guaranteeing you, and with accent as well. I know he can speak Yoruba with Lagos accent. He can speak Yoruba with a Ibadan accent.
Please,
He- he's a complete Nigerian. Just say goodbye to bye bye to our fans, your fans, and our viewers.
All right, to my most enduring audiences, I just want to say, Kashifono. I also want to say, in my Yoruba language, Rakito there. And I want to say in Hausa, Segobe. And also want to say in Yoruba, Odaro, Ekushe, Yoda fún gbogbo yín o, for
Baba
watching.
Bado. Thank you very much. It's been an absolute privilege, and we're so honored to have you. And I'm sure when your new projects all your new projects that you're working on, as soon as they mature, give us a call, and we will be there to do our best to promote and support. God bless you
Thank
so
you
much.
very much for
Have a
having me.
wonderful
I will
day.
surely do that. Thank you.
All right.
God bless you.
Bye
All
now.
right. All right.